I come from a background where you put your head down, you do your work, you make some money, you start to raise a family, you buy a nice house, and that's your life. And people around me, they never really questioned why that was. They never really stopped to think and to ask, why do I want that? What's the point of that? And the obvious answer is that it offers a sense of stability, and it offers a sense of like a very traditional, conservative, and safe way to go through life. I, however, don't think that that is the right path for me. And unfortunately for me also, a lot of the people around me in my community can't really relate to that because they frankly think it's crazy that you would actually go out and do something that pays less because you like it more. And why would you do that? Because then you can't buy as big of a house and you can't send your kids to private school anymore. And to me, those things that they value are not the same things I value. And growing up with that sort of philosophy, very ingrained in the teachings that I've received, has, I think, been fairly unhealthy for me. And I think being in this community where everyone is intrinsically motivated and everyone is not just gunning for a big house and a wife and trying to fill it with kids and retiring and having 2 weeks of vacation a year to relax, I think that's been refreshingly strange from my perspective. But it's also been something that is very correct. It just feels right to me to be with people who think like that versus people who think only as only doing things for a means to an end, which is when I think about it, it's a very strange concept because I always check in with myself and I'm always like, is this the right thing to do? And how do I actually feel about this? And it's strange that other people don't do that and they can just turn off that cognitive dissonance and they can just say, I'm doing it because of this lofty end goal, and it's going to be great because everyone else tells me it's great, but I don't actually know if it's great. So I think being with all of you here has been very refreshing, and it's been a great week, and it's given me a lot of perspective, and it's given me a lot of security in the fact that I am not the only one who thinks like this, and there is in fact probably dozens and hundreds and thousands of other communities that also kind of really push this concept of intrinsic motivation that you guys do. Well, I'm actually going to give a very intangible answer here because I think the purpose of life is to self-actualize, to realize the most of your own potential and to use that potential to give to the rest of the world. And the path that most people take with the big house and getting the kids and having the nice family vacation every year, I don't think that's really making the most of their abilities. I think that's making the most of giving your kids a stable environment to grow up in, and that's making the most of some aspects of life. But I almost feel like you're missing a whole nother facet of living by pigeonholing yourself into that path. So for me, it's all about getting the most out of life, and it's all about making the most out of my abilities. And that means being passionate about what I'm doing, being motivated from my heart about what I'm doing. And it means not just going through the motions for 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week, but making sure that everything I do has purpose to it. And it's driven by a sense of heart, it's driven by a sense of passion, and it's driven by something that I feel is correct in it's correct because it's correct, not because it's going to fulfill some end goal. So it would be easy to say my end goal is to invent a new product, or it's to start this wonderful startup. For me, it's not that simple. It's about seeing the most and making the most of my life, And that's a difficult thing to do, and it's a difficult journey to have, and it's very unconventional, I feel. But I think it starts with activities like Black Mountain Soul, and it starts with putting yourself out there in environments where you don't feel comfortable, and it starts with putting yourself in situations where you can learn the most because you're constantly bombarded by all this new information, and not just putting yourself in the old and the traditional, where you're very familiar with it and there's a sense of comfort with it, but you're not really making the most of yourself there. Well, you guys really have a good thing going here, and I really feel from the bottom of my heart that this is one of the few things that I have full faith is full faith that you guys are doing the right thing here. That this is something that is just really good at its core, and it's really it doesn't detract from the world. It doesn't, you guys aren't stripping the world of its beauty. You guys aren't you guys are definitely not making the world a worse place by any stretch of imagination. Everything you do here is making the world a better place, I think.